That's all she wrote. The Green Bay Packers season is over as they fall to the Philadelphia Eagles in the wild card round by a score of 22-10. I'm sad. I'm heartbroken like any other Packer fan. And I'm disappointed in their performance tonight. I'm a little bit angry. Just a little bit. I'm sad the season is over. And I'm sad that the last game that I have to review is a pretty bad loss. But, like we do every week, we'll go through the stats, talk a little bit about it, and then move on. Because that's all you can do is move forward. Especially tonight, as Packer fans are sad and hurting. We just have to move on and look forward to next year. But we will do that in due time. But, as always, let's begin with the offense in this game. And we'll continue to go throughout the disaster that was the Green Bay Packers' performance today. So, let's begin with Mr. Jordan Love, who had a bad game. There's no other way to say it. It was a bad game. Jordan was 20 of 33 for 212 yards and 3 interceptions. 3. Jordan had not thrown an interception in, I think, 7 or 8 games. Threw 3 tonight. Big mistakes all game. Jordan never got comfortable. He was under constant pressure. Philly's D-line was spectacular. The Packers' O-line fell apart. Josh Jacobs, leading rusher, he had 18 attempts for 81 yards and 1 touchdown. He also had 3 receptions for 40 yards. Jaden Reed was the Packers' leading receiver. He had 4 receptions for 46 yards. Dontavian Wicks, 2 receptions for 39 yards. And Tucker Kraft, 5 receptions for 26 yards. Tucker Kraft also had a couple of cool rushes where he picked up a first down here and there, and I will now call him Tucker Bulldozer Kraft. So something positive came out of tonight. If we look at Keyshawn Nixon fumble, and we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a minute. Leading tackler for the Packers, Quay Walker. He had 4 tackles. Rashawn Gary had a sack. Isaiah McDuffie and Colby Wooden both had a half sack. And Brandon McManus was 1 for 2 from kicking today. So Brandon McManus missing a field goal, something he hasn't done in a couple weeks. He missed a field goal against the Vikings. If I remember correctly, it was a field goal. But let's just kind of gloss over. It started out horrible. The Eagles won the toss. They kicked, they deferred, so they kick it to the Packers. Keyshawn Nixon gets hit while he's taking the ball back, fumbles the ball. In my honest opinion, it clearly looked like Keyshawn recovered the ball. The refs thought the other way around. The refs gave it to the Eagles, and the Eagles, in perfect field position, went ahead and scored immediately. And it was just downhill from there. The Packers never recovered. So we could sit here and say that, oh, well, I personally thought that Keyshawn had the ball, but apparently not. And it just went downhill from there. But I will say that after that, the Eagles' offense was silent until about the 4th quarter. The Packers had so many opportunities to win this game. So many opportunities. The defense, up until about the 4th quarter, played spectacular. They played spectacular. They held Jalen Hurts to about 39 yards passing in the first half. And Saquon only had like 50 or 60 yards. Holding those two guys to nothing, A.J. Brown only had 1 catch for 10 yards. The Packers defense gave the offense so many opportunities, and every single time the offense had the ball, They could not do anything. They couldn't do anything. They'd get all the way down the field, that penalty. Get all the way down the field, that penalty. Get down the field, we go for the fourth, I don't get it. Get all the way down the field, kick a field goal, we miss it. The offense, this loss is 110% on the offense because the defense did enough, and by the fourth quarter, they were burnt out. They just were. There's no way around it. The Packers could have won this game up until about probably 6 minutes left in the game. They were only down 6 after Josh Jacobs got his touchdown. It was a very winnable game. It just was. We'll get over some injuries. Injuries plagued the Packers all night tonight. Starting at the top of the list, Elgton Jenkins goes down at the beginning of the game. Packers replace him with Travis Glover. Travis Glover botches every opportunity he has. 3 penalties, 1 for illegal man down the field, then 2 straight plays with holding, keeps pushing the Packers back. They pull Glover and they put in Kadeem Telfort, who, he did fine. He's not Elgton Jenkins. And it really, really bothered. Like, Jordan was under so much pressure, wasn't ever comfortable, was never stable, nothing. Zach Tom was not playing well today, which is very unlike him, especially this season. He was off his game today. Carrington Valentine getting absolutely embarrassed by Dallas Goedert. Just stiff arm, just flailing around trying to get him. And it was just, I felt embarrassed for Carrington. And that's, again, another thing that's unlike Carrington. He's been playing spectacular all season. This game, he didn't play well. Obviously, again, Jair's not there, so he didn't play. Obviously, he didn't play. Going down the injury list, Devontae Wyatt went out. That hurts. Romeo gets hurt. Just came back. Now he's hurt. Obviously, Christian Watson not playing. He tore his ACL. We're going to be missing Christian for most of next year, too. Jaden Reed goes out, and Jaden Reed was having a good game. He was getting involved. He was having a good game. He went out. Quay Walker went out near the end of the game. Josh Myers went out near the end of the game. And on that last drive, the Packers didn't have Josh Myers. So, injuries, penalties, everything went wrong for the Packers tonight. Every single thing that could have went wrong. There's no way around it. Let's quickly look at the Eagles. Their stats, Jalen Hurts was 13 of 21, 131 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's not elite numbers from Jalen Hurts. They kept Jalen Hurts pretty much intact for most of the game. They just did. The Packers did a good job, but the Eagles' O-line is one of the best in the league, and they showed that tonight by protecting Hurts. Saquon Barkley, 25 attempts, 119 yards, no touchdowns, but he could have had a touchdown right at the end of the game, but he slid because he's a class act. And slid, could have got a touchdown, another 50 yards, but he slid. Classy. I'm down with that. Devontae Smith, their leading receiver, 4 receptions, 55 yards. And Joan Dotson had a touchdown, and like I said before, Dallas Goedert had that touchdown where he completely embarrassed Carrington Valentine. And if I was Carrington Valentine, I'd have went on the bench, and I'd have stayed there, covered my head with a towel, and not want to be seen by anybody, because that was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. But I still love you, Carrington. It's okay. And then 2 sacks. Nolan Smith had 2 sacks. And then 3 interceptions for the Philly. Let's quickly go over the box score, or more of the box score. Time of possession, pretty close. Typically, Philly does a very good job of having complete control of the clock. Packers had it 29 minutes, 27 seconds. Philly had it 30 minutes, 33 seconds. First downs, 17 first downs for the Packers, 16 for the Eagles. On third down, the Packers were 7 of 13, and Philadelphia was 2 of 11. 2 of 11. The Packers defense did a good job for most of the game. Packers 1-2 on fourth down tries in Philly. 1-1. They did have a tush push. Jalen Hurts gained like 5 yards on that. And then penalties. The Packers had 8 penalties for 85 yards, and Philly had 7 penalties for 64 yards. So, alright. So, like I said, just a disaster for the Packers today. They came in, seemed like they were unprepared, they were uncomfortable, and unfortunately we aren't going to get the cool playoff run that the Packers had last year, but I will say this, and I'm going to make a whole video about the whole season and my thoughts on the future. I will say this. This Packers team is extremely young and extremely talented. And now, going into this offseason, the Packers have a lot of cap space to be able to go out, get some free agents, build up this team a little bit more. Draft is in Green Bay, so that'll be fun. Packers have a lot of draft picks to be able to try to build this team. I believe that the future is still very, very bright. I think the Packers overachieved a little bit this year, but against elite teams, they were just not able to get over the hump, unfortunately. And today, they showed that again. I don't really know what else to say. I'm sad. I'm devastated. I really did think that the Packers had an opportunity to be able to go into Philly and beat them. Unfortunately, they couldn't do it. They couldn't rise to the challenge tonight. But the future is bright, in my opinion. And again, I'll make a video. I still think Love is the guy. I still think he's the franchise quarterback. I still think Matt LaFleur is a great coach. A couple questionable things with him the last couple weeks, but I still think the Packers keep him around. I still think a lot of this team does come back, and we'll get into that in the offseason. I'll be making videos over the offseason, stuff like that. But tonight, it hurts. Tonight, we can be upset. But tomorrow's a new day. Season's not over. We still got playoff games, so we can still watch those, and hopefully have a good Super Bowl as long as the Vikings aren't in it, or the Chiefs, right? So, though we're sad tonight, I did enjoy watching the Packers again this year, as I do every year. But until the next video, cheers to the Packers. Thank you for a great season. I'll see you guys in the next video. Go Pack Go.